Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn's Sunday School, starring Penn Jillette. My name is Michael Godot. On today's show, why Chris Rock won't go to college. We're going to talk about the movie Citizenfour and why watching Edward Snowden putting in hair gel is so cool. And Improv Everywhere founder Charlie Todd is calling in to visit with us. It's going to be a great show. Here he is, preaching love, Mr. Penn Jillette.
Yeah, preaching love. Okay, here we are. We're doing, now this is not going out, just so you know. We're not going out usually like we do live, but we'll be
We're having some tech problems.
But it will go out to most of the people. Not many people in the congregation listen actually in and live, so it doesn't change that much, you know. A lot to talk about. We got what's his name? Charlie Todd. Charlie Todd. We're gonna have him on a little later. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
See, last week,
Yes.
Matt Donnelly took the work of another artist.
Yeah.
And explained it completely wrong.
Correct.
And trashed it.
Yeah.
And then that artist got in touch with us and said, what the fuck?
Well, actually, he didn't get in touch. Someone else wrote in and said, what the fuck? And you forwarded it to me, and I said, well, why don't I just go ask the guy who's in charge of the whole thing? and I wrote him saying, you can either correct me now over email, or we can just have you call in, and I'll just retell it, and you can just correct me as I go.
Okay, good idea. We'll do that a little later. And, this Chris Rock story I want to get right into. Do you have that pulled up?
I don't have it pulled up, but I know the story. I read it.
Yeah. Chris Rock has just said that he is avoiding playing college campuses.
Yeah.
And I just finished this book, this book that I absolutely love called Kindly Inquisitors by Jonathan Rauch. We had him on the show.
Yeah.
And if you haven't listened to the Jonathan Rauch hunk we did, go back and check it out. PennSundaySchool.com. You can find which episode it is and listen to that. Jonathan Rauch, this book on Kindly Inquisitors, is about a very broad view of freedom of speech. Now, we have to say right away that if you have a private institution and you choose to not have a certain kind of speech in that private institution, then that is fine.
Yes.
We do not have the Christian point of view represented in the Penn and Teller show.
Right.
Penn and Teller, the atheist point of view isn't presented very much. It's a magic show. But we control the taste of that. So if you have a private college, the freedom of speech rules on that campus do not apply. If you're over at my house and you want to talk about crystal healing, and I say, I really don't want to invite you over anymore, then that is not a freedom of speech issue. You can talk about crystal healing any place you want.
Other side of the fence.
Yeah, just not at the Gillette
Stand out there
residence.
with signs if you want.
All of that having been said, then you have the philosophical idea of what ideas are supposed to be presented at a college campus. And we've seen this with Bill Maher. We've seen this with Ian Hirsi Ali, a few other people that were supposed to do commencement speeches.
Yeah.
And the college decided not to have them because of some views they disagreed with.
Right.
And Jonathan Rauch's point of view is that the institutions are doing a huge damage to themselves by not having other viewpoints represented. So if we want to put this in strict capitalist terms, he's saying they're giving out a worse product because they are limiting freedom of speech.
Right.
And I think going to college, which I didn't go to.
Right.
But one of the things that I liked during high school when I went to college, because in high school I skipped high school a lot and then drove up to Amherst, to UMass and Amherst College and Smith and Mount Holyoke and Hampshire, the 5 colleges up there. I would go and sit in the classes, and I looked like a college-age student. It was only, 2 years difference in age anyway. And I would sit in on the classes and pay attention. One of the things I loved was hearing stuff that shocked me and appalled me. And the idea that a college campus should be very, very careful to not offend seems to me to take away one of the things that's so wonderful about college. That's a time you should be questioned and stretched and pushed. And Chris Rock saying that, I mean, in the 70s, you would have said as a comic that the best place you could possibly play would be a college campus.
Yes.
That was the place where you'd have the absolute most freedom. You could say anything you wanted. And I remember seeing, I would drive to Amherst and skip school, and I would see like Gene Shepard. Gene Shepard, one of my favorite radio people, one of my favorite writers. Everybody knows him as the writer of Christmas Story, but there's much, much more that goes on with that. Dee Snider of Twisted Sisters, a huge Gene Shepard fan. And we talked about Gene Shepard all the time in the parts of Celebrity Apprentice they didn't use. But Gene Shepard was not a standard release hippie for the 70s. You know what I mean? He was not that. So when he spoke, he wrote for Playboy and stuff. When he spoke on campus, his position was very different than standard Western Massachusetts college-age kids.
Right.
It was a very different point of view. And so I remember, him doing a long tirade trashing the musical Hair and trashing the whole idea that long hair meant something politically, which is a very unpopular point of view. Now, it wasn't racial, it wasn't religious, but still very unpopular. And then when it came to the question and answer period, a woman in the audience, came up to the microphone and said, you write for Playboy, and Playboy is a sexist, horrible magazine, and you let your writing appear there. And I remember Gene Shepard's answer because it was so great. He said, once in a while, I'll go to a restroom, and written over the urinal will be a slogan or something written that I do not agree with politically, or I find offensive, but I still use the urinal. That was his entire answer to why his stuff goes into Playboy. When I saw, Stan Freberg, another hero of mine, speaking, he was saying stuff that wasn't directly in line with the political take of most of the people there. And that's what I found exciting. I mean, these are when I look back on the time I spent skipping high school, going to college, although I didn't go to college, the time that I spent listening to those things, it was the stuff that I didn't agree with that I mostly wanted to hear.
Right.
Plus the fact, and this is something that Jonathan Rauch covers, and you should read Kindly Inquisitors. If you want to wait, Reddy Rich and I have been doing it. It's an audiobook. It'll be out as an audiobook in about 6 months.
Nice.
I did the reading. Reddy Rich is doing the editing. I don't know when he'll be done with that, but it'll be coming out. If you want to hear me read it, you can do that, even though there's hard words that I mangle. You might be better off reading it yourself. But Jonathan Rauch, Kindly Inquisitors, we have to have on the show again.
Yeah.
Also makes the point, and this is something I've talked about so much, and this is something that gets so lost on the internet and social media, it gets completely lost, is the idea that someone can have an idea you don't agree with and not be automatically a bad person.
Right.
And that is something that we saw in these commencement speeches, that colleges were saying we can't have that person on campus because they said something on another subject that we didn't agree with. I believe in many of the cases, the people who were not welcome to give their commencement speech were not people who were going to speak at the commencement speech about things they didn't want to hear, but people who in their past had done things, that they didn't agree with, So they weren't saying we don't want Bill Maher there because Bill Maher may say anything we don't agree with. It was Bill Maher has done this in the past.
He's made jokes we didn't like.
Yeah, and it's certainly Yonir Ciali. And there's even the feeling, and I mean, this is a crazy thing to say, but I would like to say to my liberal friends, do you think the Koch brothers are bad people? Or do they just have a point of view that you disagree with on many subjects? But remember, a lot of Koch money went into working for gay marriage.
Right.
A lot of their positions are positions where their money was used for stuff that...
Strangely, they're humans with a nuanced position. That's something a lot of people don't seem to expect. Politics seems to bring out the worst in people. You're not allowed to have a disagreement without the other person being some sort of idiot.
Yeah. Well, you know, so I had this thing. I pretty much stopped all Facebook stuff.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, but the Chris Rock thing is even more fascinating than that because it's not a commencement speech.
No.
He doesn't want to just. He doesn't want to do stand-up at colleges.
Here,
yeah, that's much heavier.
I stopped playing colleges, and the reason is because they're way too conservative, and then not in their political views, not like they're voting Republican, but in their social views and their willingness to not to offend anybody. Kids raised on a culture of we're not going to keep score in the game because we don't want anybody to lose, or just ignoring race to a fault. You can't say the black kid over there. No, it's the kid with the red shoes. You can't even be offensive on your way to being inoffensive.
Yeah. And it used to be that you got crazy. And also, this is the whole issue about comedy. You know, I did a movie with Prevens called The Aristocrats.
Yeah.
And that was about transgressive humor, trying to be shocking, trying to be as out as possible. And people didn't understand that. We didn't get busted very much for The Aristocrats. That was pretty much understood. And also, at the end of that, I was sick of it. I'd had enough of that. You know, it's like we did The Aristocrats. We used every offensive word possible.
Yeah.
You know, we had the most shocking stuff we could do verbally. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of that, I'd seen the best. You know,
right.
I'd seen Saget and Silverman and Gilbert and those people do this stuff perfectly. So when people would do stuff shocking in stand-up, I was just used to it.
Right.
You know, we had hundreds of hours of unique footage that we watched of people doing transgressive humor. So I kind of get sick of it. But the point is that one of the things you're doing in comedy, one of the tools you use in comedy, one of the tools we see used by Lenny Bruce and George Carlin, but even Roseanne Barr, Joan Rivers, I mean, the full gamut of comedy is one of the things you use as surprise.
Right.
And one of the elements of surprise is shock. You know, shock is a really good thing to do and a really useful tool. And so I had this discussion with this woman. I said something on Facebook as a friend, as a joke, and it was taken out of the big context, although in the small context, it was correct. And then there was some hostility about it. So I met with the person who was offended, and I talked with her, and everything she said, every single thing she said was correct. She talked a lot about comics punching down and not punching up. You know, attacking people that were lower than them and not people that are higher than them, which is a very good point and a very good artistic point as well as political. It's more entertaining to see someone, you want to watch David, you don't want to watch Goliath. You want to cheer for the underdog. You know, when Lenny Bruce attacks organized religion and the government, it certainly feels like a hero. And if he were to just make fun of the guy doing janitorial work at the club, it would feel unpleasant.
Sure.
All of that is absolutely true. And people that when you have oppression of minorities, and that oppression is then codified in the comedy, that's really, really bothersome. But the problem is that we don't know enough. You know, when Chris Rock does a routine that has offensive images in it, there's nobody smart enough to be able to say what the impact of that stuff is. You know, they now did did you see this petition that they did for Target against Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, this is great. Have you seen the next stage of it?
Yes.
The next stage, the next petition?
Yes.
Okay. This is really cool. So Grand Theft Auto has stuff in the video game that represents. There's no violence in the video game. Can we just say that? There is no violence in the video game. There is depiction of fantasy violence in the video game, much like there's depiction of fantasy violence in Shakespeare. Although you're not supposed to get really hurt in Shakespeare, you don't get really hurt in Grand Theft Auto either. Just for full disclosure here, I don't play video games. I don't know that culture. I'm not part of it. I went to the big PlayStation thing because Sony invited me, and I put the Morpheus thing on my head.
Fantastic.
But that doesn't mean I was in a shark cage down at the bottom with sharks coming at me and just going, and it was really great because they also did, I don't care about, I don't watch Game of Thrones. Right. I don't give a fuck about, the Lord of the Rings.
Depiction of dragons.
Fantasy is not your thing.
I don't like it at all.
Not the actual interaction of dragons.
They gave me these things to hold in my hands that tracked my hands.
Yeah.
Then they put this big goggle up on my head. I don't know what that sentence would mean in English, but they put this thing strapped to my head that had lights on it they could track. And I had these things in my hand, and I was supposed to move around, and it had triggers on the things in my hand. And I was in a medieval castle with this thing on my head. And there were thousands of people in this showroom in Vegas, okay? And I was there. Now, I was just standing there. No one could see. I guess there was a screen somewhere. But for the most part, no one could see what I was seeing. I just had this thing strapped to my head. And they said when I get in there, they said, he's a big guy. Everybody stay far away because you don't want to get hit. And I said, well, I don't think I'm going to be flailing around that much. I kind of giggled.
Sure.
Oh, yes, because you're going to put this little thing on my head, and I'm going to think I'm in a castle fighting dragons. Well, and I expected to have small, gentle boxing moves. It was 45 seconds before I was going, motherfucker! And swinging my swords around and fighting armor and just huge gestures with my wife pulling everybody away from me going, he's crazy when he's like this. Watch, he's fighting dragons. He's fighting, run, everybody, villagers run, save yourselves.
Also, with your history of nonviolence, we have no clue what you're capable of.
Exactly.
We have no idea where this is going.
Well, this is outside. I have no morality about not hitting dragons. I mean, sorry, Piff, but and I was just out of my mind. Ah, you cocksucker! Okay, but that having negated my whole argument.
Yeah, there you go.
They also get this great game. Oh, is this a great game? It's called Keep Talking and No One Explodes. Okay, this is a game, and it's a game that they suggested that everyone have to play before they got married. And I would love to see each of you play this with your spouses.
Oh man!
You put on your goggles, right? And you can see a bomb in front of you. And you can manipulate the bomb. You can turn it, you can cut wires, you can hit buttons, you can move it there. It's there in space. And sitting next to you is your partner. And your partner cannot see the bomb, but your partner has a complicated manual that they have to read. And then there's no technology here. Just sitting next to you, and you've got the goggles on, they're telling you what to do. Is there a serial number on it? Is there a serial number? What's the serial number? And the buttons. What are the buttons? What are the exact numbers on the buttons? And there's a clock going, counting down 5 minutes. And you're going, how many wires? Are there more than 12 wires? There are more than 12, or 3 of them red. If 3 of them are red and 2 of them are blue, you go, 1 is yellow. And you go, yellow. 1 is yellow. How many are 4? Are there 4 blue? Or are there 2 red? Cut the green wire! And you cut it, and that module goes down. Okay? Does the button say abort, or does the button say detonate? What's the serial number? If it's an odd number serial number and it says abort, push down and hold it, until there's a 4 in the countdown clock, and then let go. Wait a minute, it doesn't say, what's the serial number's even? Let me check. Okay, so we put the headset on me, and Emily was reading the chart, and we blew up. Then Emily put on the headset, and I had the book, and we did a 5-minute task in a minute and a half.
Whoa!
Wow, nice.
It's very clear that if I'm talking and the other person's touching things, we do very, very well.
Yeah.
If I'm touching things, the other person is talking, we do less well. That's what we learn.
There's a reality-based version of this, and it's called pulling your boat onto a trailer at the lake. And if you really just want to have some fun, go down and watch people try to pull their boats onto their trailers on a windy day at the lake when there are some waves. Many marriages end right there.
I was just going to say that my wife laughs at how calmly I deliver bad news. Like, anytime I have to deliver bad news, I'm just like, all right, be calm. And so our kid is fighting diaper rash, so one solution is like, just let him walk around without a diaper for a little while.
He's not fighting diaper rash. He has diaper rash. What is this using cancer terminology for?
I believe in him. I'm praying for him.
Okay.
And he's a fighter.
He's going to beat it. He's going to beat the diaper rash.
It's one thing. Keeler's never let anything else defeat him in his life.
Oh, yeah, okay.
No, so yeah, so Sarah's talking to me in the middle of the story. I'm looking at the kid walking around. And I just go, Sarah, to get her to stop talking, and very calmly, like, our son is pooping on the floor right now. She's like, she was so calm. She's like, what? I was like, our son is pooping on the floor right now. I need paper towels. So she's like, wait, what? And so she looks, she's like, ah! And then she's like running around, but she's laughing at like,
do you want the Christmas paper towels or is it the regular paper towels?
Bad news time. It's like, bad news. I'm going to go right to calm mode and deliver it quickly and succinctly.
Calm mode is great. Calm mode is great for this game. Also, you know, Jamie Ian Swiss was a great close-up magician and a good friend of mine. He was a New Yorker. Okay, so as a New Yorker, he never had a driver's license. Okay, so he moved to Vegas to help us with Sin City Spectacular, and he was living at my house, and I didn't want to be driving him all around. So I wanted him to get a driver's license, and he didn't want to go and take driver's ed lessons. So I said that I would teach him. Now, he was 45 years old and had never been behind the wheel of a car. I put him in my Bronco, okay?
Pink Death?
Yeah, Pink Death, my Bronco. I put him in the driver's seat. I did not take him to a parking lot. He got his learner's permit. It was all legal. I didn't take him to a parking lot. I didn't take him to a side street. I just decided wherever we were going to go, we would just go with him driving absolutely cold. My ability to talk calmly and clearly to a situation saved our life. I took him up on Blue Diamond. I was going, Jamie, you must get to the right. Get to the right. There's a truck coming. You must get to the right. Get to the, okay, good. Not that far to the right. A little farther to the left. More down the center. It was really great. So.
Like the Speed Racer episode where he's a Speed Racer can't see, but Racer X has broken his legs and can't push the gas pedals.
It's actually much more like a guy from New York who didn't know how to drive that I was taking driving.
Okay. Seems like a Speed Racer episode to me.
It does, yeah. Well, actually, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a bit that Teller and I are going to do. A blindfold drive with me talking. I think we're going to do maybe on a television program.
And Teller's going to drive while you talk?
Yeah. Teller can't drive without a blindfold.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
This is a terrible idea.
Teller can't drive for shit.
That's the thing. It's like, do you feel any increased danger whatsoever than you would typically feel driving with Teller?
Well, see, this is the important part. When you're writing a bit for Penn and Teller, there's the comedic element, there's the magical element, then there's the reality element.
Right.
The reality element you want to get right in there very, very early on, which is I said right in the early parts of developing this bit, I don't think I should be in the car with you.
We should do this on radio.
I think it's much better if we do it on the headset. Gives it more belief, and it gives it another little layer. It's another whole layer, Teller. It would be fabulous. So that is a previously solved problem.
The twists he's driving right towards the booth that you're sitting in.
There'll be a camera person in the. So, Grand Theft Auto has this. They have the depiction
Depiction of violence.
Violence, fantasy violence, and people signed a petition saying that this was violent, antisocial behavior and mostly directed against women, and they got tens of thousands of signatures. One of these online petition jive. I mean, somebody genius makes their living setting up petitions online, which is fabulous. Some petition website, whatever it is, does this. And they petition.
StopTheFuckers.com.
What's that?
StopTheFuckers.com.
StopTheFuckers.com. Yeah, something like that. They petition Target to stop selling Grand Theft Auto. And this is the reason. So Target, if Target believes they're doing something wrong and they shouldn't sell Grand Theft Auto, then they simply shouldn't sell it. But they should not capitulate to pressure, even from consumer groups, because this is what happens. So they stop selling. It's not Grand Theft Auto. It's Grand Theft Auto something.
Yeah, the latest one. The latest version.
Latest one. 5 is what it is?
I think it's 5.
5.
Yeah.
But so somebody, and let's call this person genius, sets up an exact same petition and replaces all the words of Grand Theft Auto with Bible.
Love it.
Just says Bible. The Bible shows violence.
Prostitution?
Prostitution subjugates women. All absolutely provable by anybody who has ever read 3 pages of the Bible. Absolutely provable. No exaggeration, no sarcasm, no nothing. Simply true. I mean, the best kind of performance art is performance art that is 100% true. You cannot deny that there is more violence in the Bible, more violence depicted in the Bible.
Yes.
Of course, it says it's not depicted. It's supposed to say it's real, which makes it even worse.
Yeah, exactly. Grand Theft Auto has an out.
So certainly the Bible, on every comparison with Grand Theft Auto, is certainly more violent, certainly worse for women, certainly, I mean, we don't even go into gays and so on. So they send the petition. And I believe they've gotten more signatures than they had for Grand Theft Auto. So this is why, Mr. Target, you should not negotiate with terrorists.
And this is why, Mr. Target, you should take a look at Kind of the Inquisitors.
Yes, exactly.
Think about the power of speech.
Yeah, think about that power of speech. But it's just a fabulous thing. So we talk about what is shocking and what it means. So you see, I shouldn't use Grand Theft Auto as an example because I haven't ever played it.
Right.
But you see a piece of art. You see a stand-up routine that somebody does that has a Sarah Silverman. Let's take Sarah Silverman, for example.
Yeah.
Sarah Silverman does stuff that deals with racial issues. And Sarah Silverman says that she is making fun of someone who would be racist. She is not racist herself, but her character on stage is racist.
Yeah.
And yet we can prove, in Sarah Silverman's own words, in her autobiography that she wrote, Bedwetter, which I read, she talks about how somebody from a band came to her and said after the show in front of a lot of people, using a word I won't use here for obvious reasons, but let's just sum up what this person said. Sarah Silverman does the best racist jokes ever. But the way they said it was in a way that said, does jokes that someone who is racist would enjoy, like me, and you'd enjoy them too. So Sarah Silverman has this horrible soul-searching. Sarah Silverman has this horrible soul-searching, a lot of S's. I'm glad I'm not Sylvester the Cat.
So are we. Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. For a lot of reasons.
Electrical short.
Not just the spitting when I say S's.
Yeah. You want
There's
to be a
other
cat.
reasons.
You want to be a cartoon. You don't want to eat birds all your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all that.
Don't want to lose chasing birds. Don't want to get an iron dropped on my head and then have the impression of an iron in my head for a while.
But in his defense, it's only a short while.
Yeah, then you just go, and then it pops back out. So maybe it's okay. Sylvester the cat is fighting Anvil Head. Iron Head. So we don't know. We just don't fucking know what the reaction of Sarah Silverman's routine is. We just don't know. And no one is smart enough. So you've got some dipshit. Let's postulate a stand-up comedian.
Oh, well, I worked a few weeks ago with Dom Herrera. One of his opening jokes is, I think it's really important that we judge people based on their beliefs or the color of their skin. There is nothing in it that suggests this is a joke. Mm-hmm. Everyone in the audience laughs.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's postulate for a moment a comic who actually is racist.
Okay.
And actually hates women. Okay? We've done whatever tests we need to do, and we've said this person actually hates women and wants them to be treated badly and actually wants to judge people based on their race. And he has a comedy routine that he believes and has worked on with a competent director actually makes those beliefs clear. And he goes out and does the stand-up circuit. Do we get together and stop him? Do we do a petition to stop him? Or do we know what reaction that has in our culture? So the problem with this kind of control over speech is that it takes as a given that the person listening knows the effect that has. So we know that Lenny Bruce fighting organized religion, we feel like Lenny Bruce fighting organized religion did some good stuff for our culture. But Westboro Baptist Church, have they done some good for the atheist movement? I think they probably have.
Right.
They've probably done a lot of good for the atheist movement. Also, being an outspoken atheist, I know that I have done good for the Christian movement. I've had people tweet to me, I find you so fat and loud and obnoxious and unpleasant that I'm going to church again. What do you do with that? Now, the woman that I was talking to, who
I didn't mean to hit send on that. That was just a joke.
Honestly, Godot just missed the cider and donuts. I don't know why he's blaming you for that.
The woman that I talked to, who I will say, once again, was right about everything. You know, she was right about people could misunderstand how you meant this word, and it was out there, and she then brought to her, she then said, in part of her argument about her, the stuff she does, pushing for her point of view, she said two things which I thought were really funny. She said, I'm not stupid, and I don't do this for fun. And I said, there's two places we differ. I am stupid, and I do this for fun. And that really is my point. Yeah. That is entirely my point, is that I am stupid. And that's my entire point. And people talk about, Penn, you talk about being stupid and da-da-da-da and false humility and so on. There's no false humility involved in that. I am not smart enough. I am not smart enough to be able to tell the social ramifications of anything that goes into social media.
Right.
I cannot tell you Chris Rock's use of a word, use of an obscenity. I cannot tell you how that affects my daughter's life in 30 years.
Right.
I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you how to interpret the Bible. The reason I'm an atheist is I'm not smart enough to interpret the Bible and the world. I don't know. I just don't know. And the fact that someone can read the Bible and say, this is true, I know that. How can you be that smart? How can you possibly be that smart? Atheist is the only position for a stupid person. We don't know everything about how the world got here. We can't possibly know the mind of God. So there's no reason to believe in something that someone else knew. That is the basic reason of libertarianism. I don't ever know what's best for me. I don't know what's best for my family. I don't know what's best for my children. You know, my daughter's going to a school that she loves and she's having a good time, but it doesn't seem rigorous enough to me. She's in 4th grade. Is it better for her to have friends, or is it better for her to have more academics? I don't even know that. I don't even know that. So how can I be able to tell what the redneck comedy tour talking about women is going to affect my daughter's life down the line? The humility.
I don't know how it's going to affect dinner.
Is absolutely real.
Right.
I have no idea how Chris Rock's routine on a college campus. And the college campus is saying, they are saying absolutely, we know for a fact that Bill Maher saying this on his show Real Time has these social implications to the world.
Right.
They've got to be saying that. Are they really just saying it offends me, I don't want to hear it? Maybe they are, but there's an easy solution to that. They're not saying, I don't want to watch Bill Maher. Because me, Penn, I don't want to watch Bill Maher. Most of the time, I don't feel like watching Bill Maher. So I simply don't. But I have no idea what Bill Maher's effect on the world is. Even if you say he has this opinion and I disagree with it and it's wrong, I still don't know what the danger is of him having the point of view out there.
Right. The difference may be that was Bill Maher doing a commencement speech? I mean, I think at commencement you're not selling tickets. You kind of have to go. I mean, I think Chris Rock's talking about stand-up, and so...
Yeah, that is different. That is different. But what I'm saying is they are saying that Bill Maher as a person does not have... they don't want to support him. He said some stuff they don't agree with, and by having him in...
Right.
I just always believe that the solution is more speech.
Of course.
I mean, if Sarah Silverman is doing stuff that could be considered racist by somebody, then somebody else going out and doing a different routine is okay. And it all comes down to, I am stupid, and I'm doing this for fun. And that was, of everything she said, that was the only thing I disagreed with. The idea that you consider yourself to know what's going on, that's the one thing. When someone says something like, the depiction of violence against women in Grand Theft Auto causes violence in the real world, and they just state that, I just go, how do you know that? I don't even know, what's his name? Brown, I don't know his first name, but the father of Michael Brown and Ferguson. Stepfather of Michael Brown and Ferguson said something, I won't get the quote exactly right, but he said something like, let's burn this bitch down. Right. I got to tell you, I don't even know if that incites violence. Now, this is something the Supreme Court has covered. The constitutionality on this is covered. Other people know that when you stand in front of a big crowd of people and say, let's do violence, that you're inciting to riot, and it's a big deal. That's a previously solved problem. Other people know about that. I don't even know about that. I don't even know that if you've got an angry mob and a person's on stage rabble-rousing, like that's an old-fashioned word, but I guess it's still proper.
No more than angry mob.
I don't even know what that does. If you put me as a judge, me alone as a judge, no jury, and just said, this person said, let's burn this bitch down. I don't even know the exact situation that happened. I'm doing a hypothetical. But an angry crowd that's angry at a big social injustice, a person on stage with a microphone, and they say, we're angry, let's burn this bitch down, and later things are lit on fire. I get attend. I'm not saying, there's no legal position being stated here. There's no legal position. I'm not coming out against laws against this at all. But I'm just saying, you ask me, in my heart, me honestly alone, did that cause the fires? My answer is I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, you know, even just your setup is that an angry mob was already gathered, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's going to take the stepfather. I don't think it's going to take someone else yelling, let's burn this
But
bitch
if you
down.
don't have an angry mob,
Yeah.
the question is nonsense.
Of course.
If you go out in my courtyard
and yell, burn
and
this
say,
bitch
let's
down.
burn this bitch down, and there's nobody
not
around. The goldfish, the turtles.
Yeah.
So it has to have an angry mob.
Yeah. I think, I mean,
Although, I don't know, if you go to if you go to a country club
yeah.
where they have no complaints and they're eating finger sandwiches, I don't know what they do at a country club. I don't even know what finger sandwiches are, really. So maybe I'm using a bad example.
Let's go with high tea. You've been to high tea.
I've been to high tea.
You go to high tea.
You walk into the Waldorf Astoria for high tea at 4 p.m. in New York City, and you say in the lobby, let's burn this bitch down. I don't think... is that even illegal?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I see. So I just don't know. I just don't know. And Chris Rock saying he doesn't want to play college campuses, I think that is the strongest indictment against the way college campuses.
Somebody's losing out on this deal.
Big. I mean, we don't have a better voice in comedy, a smarter, more insightful, richer voice in comedy than Chris Rock today, do we?
No,
Louis
I think
C.K.,
we do.
sure.
Louis C.K., but I mean, they're all pretty equivalent at the top end. They're
but
all
I mean,
fantastic.
There's nobody that doesn't put Chris Rock in the top 10.
Right. No, and also that you want Chris Rock's perspective. I think Louis C.K. is a genius, but I don't think you go to Louis for every single issue. Like you don't go to Louis for a take on Obama's presidency.
Right.
You definitely go to Chris Rock for that.
Of course.
I mean, the biggest thing, Paul Mattingly is fond of saying, I don't know whose quote it is, but he says, you have a right to be offended, but you don't have a right not to be offended.
Right.
And the thing about that, and I love that, is that people just get sensitive about just saying stuff.
Well, then the escalation becomes the person who can get the most offended wins.
Right. Yeah.
That there's power in being offended. And I got to talk, there's a lot to talk about. We got a lot more to talk about. Because there's also Citizenfour. We got to talk about Bucket List. Yeah. We got to get your Improv Anywhere guy on.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I got to talk about food.
Let's talk about some food.
Yeah. I got to tell you.
The greatest product.
It really is.
New advertiser. Oh, my God, we love them.
And also, this is an advertiser that I have been eager to talk about because they gave us this to try and then waited weeks before we could actually talk about it.
When do we get to talk about this? We love it.
We have a new advertiser on our show, and it's the great cooking product called the Sancerre. The Sancerre uses a style of cooking called sous vide.
Sous vide.
Sous vide. Sous vide is a French cooking method that uses precise temperature control to achieve perfect and predictable results every time. The Sancerre attaches to any pot or basin with water and heats and maintains it to exactly the temperature you set. Even better, the Sancerre is designed to not only work well, but also look great on the kitchen counter, which it does. Restaurants have been using sous vide cooking devices for years, but they traditionally cost around $1,000. Fortunately, Sancerre makes it reasonably priced enough for all the home chefs out there. And for our lucky listeners, the Sancerre costs only $179. $179! That's like $30 cheaper than they're selling in other places. To get this special deal, all you need to do is go to www.sancerre. I got to spell this for you. SANSAIRE.com. Got that? SANSAIRE. And use the promo code
Penn
at checkout. I got to tell you, for our Thanksgiving dinner, Emily and her mom, Diane, put this turkey parts into the sealed bags like you do for the Sancerre stuff. Put it in sealed bags with the herbs and spices, and they cooked that up. And then they fried it to finish it off. It was, I think, the best turkey I've ever had. Matt Donnelly said it was like turkey-infused turkey.
Yes. Yeah.
Turkey-flavored turkey.
That's the thing about it. Yeah. I've done a bunch of different dishes with it. Chicken breasts.
Yeah.
perfect. Unbelievably
The
perfect.
cooking is unattended. This changes the way you'll cook in the kitchen. You can watch an episode of Game of Thrones, and by the end, you've cooked yourself a fantastic supper. Timing is no longer important. In fact, it's impossible to overcook your food.
Yeah, this is
it doesn't
fantastic.
matter if you leave your steak in for 1 hour or 3. The results are the same. Boy, the steak was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Guests can be late. You can run an extra errand, still have a phenomenal meal. The Sancerre is used in some of the world's best restaurants. It's one of the secrets. If you have a great meal and you ask the cook, they'll tell you sous vide.
Sous vide.
A lot of it's happening. Takes about as much space as a champagne bottle and uses pots or containers you already own. Don't need to buy a bunch of accessories. You can make whole meals on the Sancerre and no cookware to clean afterwards. In fact, you can make a whole Thanksgiving dinner.
You guys did.
Which pretty much we did.
I'm so sad I didn't have that turkey.
Go to www.sancerre.com, Sansaire, and use my promo code
Penn.
at checkout to receive $20 off your Sancerre. Again, that promo code
Penn.
for $20 off. It's a great thing, man.
It is a
use
great
it,
thing.
use it, use it. Eggs are good. Oh, are eggs good?
And the steaks. The steaks. You can cook a steak perfectly every single time.
You know, our advertisings here is just my life.
I know.
I use everything we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Clubs, the Clubs card game.
Oh, so fun.
You played it?
Yeah, I just got my thing.
Yeah, the Clubs card game is really, really great.
Deck is the word I couldn't come up with. I
Deck
just
is the
got my
word. Yeah,
deck.
thing. Yeah. The Clubs card game is cheap. It's inexpensive. It's a card game that you can play with your family, and it is terrific. If you like any sort of card game, you'll love this. And the most important part is that you can play with the whole family.
Right.
You know, we've got an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 59-year-old, and a 48-year-old.
Wide range.
Yeah, we have a wide range of people playing this game. And in terms of ability, for their ability to play, it breaks down into Emily, Moxie, Z, Penn. Those are the quality of players we have there. It's a whole new card game. Got strategy, got chance. Simple enough to teach the kids. Still has enough strategy to make it fun. Perfect game to play over the holidays. You're always looking for stuff to do, sitting around. Does not take long to play. It takes about 30 minutes to play, which is the right length of time for a game to be. 30 minutes is how long you want to play. If you're playing a game more than 30 minutes, you pick the wrong game.
Yeah, that's true.
Go about 30 minutes. Pick up a copy of Clubs at Barnes & Noble stores. Have you watched the Twitter? A lot of people on my Twitter, Penn Gillette, Pennjillette. A lot of people on my Twitter are saying they picked up Clubs card game. They're playing it. They're having a blast with it. There's actually feedback we're getting that people like this game.
Nice.
Also shows people that listen to the podcast,
Sure.
which is maybe the more startling thing. I may have been burying the lead there, but Clubs is a great game. You should check it out. Face it, there aren't many good ways to borrow money when you need it. Friends, family, credit card companies, traditional bank loans, you have to pick your poison. But now, with a low fixed rate loan from Prosper.com, there's a better way. Borrow up to $35,000 in as few as 5 days and use the money for just about anything you desire. Pay off high-rate credit cards, fix up the house for the holidays, even put it into your business. Prosper's online marketplace connects people who need money with those who need to invest in you. Don't rack up more debt on your credit cards this holiday season. Pay them off with Prosper. To check your low rate instantly without affecting your good credit, go to prosper.com/Penn. Now, and for a limited time, listeners to this show get a $50 Visa gift card with your low-interest loan. Listen, you know, if you're going to start a business, if you got to fix things up, get it in one place. Good interest. It's also kind of like microloans. Prosper.com.
Get up to $35,000 in your account in as few as 5 days, and a $50 Visa gift card. Go to prosper.com/Penn.
Penn.
That's prosper.com/Penn.
Penn.
That was mine. Penn.
Oh, sorry, Penn. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here's our old friend.
Yeah.
Our old friend, one of our favorite advertisers. With the holidays almost here, you don't have time to go to the post office. There's traffic. There's parking. It'll be packed with everyone making holiday gifts and packages. Everybody's mailing that stuff this time of year. So what do? I use Stamps.com instead. With Stamps.com, you can avoid all the hassle of going to the post office during a busy holiday season. Everything you would do at the post office, you can do right from your desk. Buy and print official U.S. postage using your own computer and printer. Print postage for any letter or package the instant you need it. Then the mailman picks it up. So easy, so convenient. If you're doing anything with Director's Cut.
Yeah.
You know, if you do anything there, makepenbad.com, you buy a T-shirt, you do any of that stuff, it gets sent out Stamps.com. My wife loves it. Laura in the office loves it. We all have a great time with Stamps.com. You've even used it, right?
Yeah. I shipped some stuff last Christmas and probably this Christmas as well.
See, that's Matt Donovan using. He's able to use that.
If I can use it, you can use it.
There's no doubt about that. Right now, get the special offer when you use my name.
Penn!
No risk trial, plus a $110 bonus offer. Includes a digital scale and up to $55 free postage.
Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com before you do anything else. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in
Penn.
That's Stamps.com.
Penn.
Enter
Penn.
Penn. Enter Penn. Stamps.com. Enter Penn.
We're gonna
You
get
pointed
to,
early. I went Penn
I
right when
did.
you
You're
pointed.
right.
We're gonna get to the Improv Anywhere guy in just a moment. One more thing to talk about though.
Everywhere. Improv everywhere.
What I say, anywhere?
Anywhere, yeah.
Everywhere, of course. Yeah. The gift of amazing sleep only from Sleep Number. This is the great thing. I'm staying at 95, man. I've decided that a firm bed for me is the way to go. Emily is still at 65. My Sleep Number is 95. I love the Sleep Number bed. And I'm telling you, we started with a good expensive bed, and still Sleep Number was a step up. Feeling the effects of the holiday season yet? Why not give yourself a gift you'll appreciate for years to come? The gift of an amazing night's sleep on a Sleep Number bed. My Sleep Number setting is 95. Emily's is 65. Now, all new Sleep Number beds are available with Sleep IQ technology. It tracks your sleep so you know precisely how you're sleeping and what to do to sleep your best. Couldn't be easier to use. There's nothing to wear, nothing to turn on. All you have to do is sleep. Sensors work with dual air technology inside the bed to track how well you're sleeping. Everything in your life affects your sleep. Sleep IQ will help you figure out how it is. I'm telling you, being able to adjust the firmness of your bed, having it different on both sides, it is a fabulous thing. My Sleep Number, find out what yours is. Mine is 95. Emily's is 65.
See why Sleep Number was named Best of 2014 by a leading consumer magazine. And right now you can save $300 on their most popular beds. No better sleep? Find your Sleep Number setting today only at one of the 450 Sleep Number stores nationwide.
Sleep IQ.
Find one near you by calling 800-333-9117. That's 800-333-9117. Be sure to tell them that Penn sent you.
Penn. Sleep IQ. Sleep IQ.
Sleep IQ Penn.
Okay, so last week, also, if you want anything to know about the show, go to PennSundaySchool.com. Please subscribe on iTunes or whatever you use. PennSundaySchool.com helps us out a lot. The more subscribers we have, the better we do. And if you want to do the No God Band stuff, Director's Cut, anything like that, go to PennSundaySchool.com. Check that out. Please go online. You can also join the congregation live at noon on Sundays in Las Vegas. Okay, so last week, it was just Matt and me. You weren't here.
I was not here last week.
You were not here last week. And you guys are talking about Improv Everywhere.
Yeah, I was.
And you told a great story that we were all excited about.
Yeah.
And then you talked about the very, very sad ending.
Yeah.
And instantly, someone wrote to you and said you were full of shit.
Yeah, we got a couple of people
wrote to
wrote
me
in.
and said you were full of shit.
Yeah, so that I got every single
Nice.
detail wrong about the story.
Okay, so we have here the founder,
The founder and I believe head of Improv Everywhere, Charlie Todd.
and Charlie Todd is going to tell us what you got wrong in detail.
Yeah, how's it going, Charlie?
It's going good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing
good.
very, very well. How much did we fuck up on our story?
He doesn't know
I
yet.
did listen to it. You didn't mess up too much. I think the one detail that jumped out was that we didn't reveal that it'd been a prank intentionally.
Okay.
So I think the way you told it, Matt, was that at the end of the concert, we sort of went up to them and said, you know, you got punked, or this was all a joke.
Yeah.
Instead, what we did was we just left.
Wait a minute. Somebody might not have heard the show last week. So let's talk about what we're talking about.
Okay.
What do you tell the story?
So I was talking about Improv Everywhere it's a great organization in New York. They pull off all kinds of crazy stuff. Very famously known for, of course, the No Pants subway ride that happens every year, and all kinds of crazy pranks from like send like guys into Best Buy. I feel like I'm like the guy who's like bought your first 2 albums but loves talking about them, and you've probably done so much since. I thought to this one story where they selected a band at random, learned all of this obscure band's music and lyrics, went to their show, cheered along, sang along for to all their music in New York, and then I said that somehow it was revealed after the show that that it was not done in genuine, and the band was crushed.
Uh-huh.
And I guess that somewhere now at the end of that story, I have all the details incorrect.
And then I said that I believe that the best part of a practical joke was if the person who was the brunt of the joke enjoyed it more than the people doing it.
Right. That is the standard.
And now we have the actual guy. So you've heard bumbling people explain what happened. Now correct that, Charlie.
Yeah, so it's not too far off, and it you know, this was back in 2004. So this is a 10-year-old prank. The band was
right on schedule. We're right on schedule.
The band was on their first tour ever. So they never left where they're from Vermont. They'd never left Vermont in terms of
What's the name of the band? Why not tell the name of the band?
The band is called Ghost of Pasha. They broke up a while back.
Okay.
But I chose the band. I just looked through the Village Voice because that's what you did in 2004. And I chose the band because they had a gig on Friday night at like 9 o'clock. That was their first New York show. And then they had a gig on Sunday night at 11 o'clock. And the Sunday night gig was twice as expensive. So I knew, you know, maybe the band has some fans, maybe they have some friends, but nobody's going to see them twice, and nobody would choose the Sunday show. And I was right. They only had 3 people there. It was at the Mercury Lounge. They had 3 people, and we brought about 30. Mm-hmm. I think over the years, the urban legend of this, or the legend of this, has been that we like brought thousands of people, but it was 30 people. Yeah. But still, that was, you know, 1,000% increase of what they had. And as Matt said, we had gone to their website. They had 6 songs, like a 6-song EP. Downloaded their MP3s, memorized their lyrics, and just rocked out. And the other reason I picked the band is because they were good. I liked them. I think I looked at like 3 or 4 different options of bands, and this is the one that was like, we could rock out to this and have a great time and not be making fun of them. Like, it wouldn't be like we were...
Very important point.
That's a key point that I did not get in last week. That's a super huge point.
That might be the whole point, but go on. Because really, the story you're telling is less performance art and more you liked a band. But go on.
Yeah, that's partially true. So yeah, I thought, you know, the 6 songs that we listened to, like, oh, these guys are good. You know, we rocked out. And then they, like, really accelerated their performance, right? Because we're getting into it. And they are surprised, like, how are these people singing these songs back that we, like, released on our website a month ago? But they start getting into it, and, you know, they're, like, amping up their stage theatrics, which makes us get even more enthusiastic. And it was this sort of, like, you know, continual, like, circuit of excitement heightening and heightening and heightening. And it was a great night. But admittedly, it was pretty weird for them when the show was over and we were gone. So, you know, by the time they're, like, packing up their amplifiers and putting their guitars away, like, there's no one there. Like, we didn't stick around for an autograph or anything.
Yeah. So afterwards, they're packing up their amps and you're just gone.
Yeah, so when the show ended, before they could finish putting their equipment away, the club was empty. And they were sort of left staring at each other like, that was awesome, but what was that? Who were those people?
And when did they find out?
So maybe 2 weeks after that, I put up the story on my website and sent out an email to our email list. And someone on that email list had gone to high school with the lead singer in the band. And so they found out pretty much right away, which I did. I was like, oh, maybe like a year from now, they'll Google their name and figure out this mystery. But they found out right away. And
the internet is funny that way.
I presented it on my website too. Like we were like, these guys were great. Here's their website. But they, as Matt mentioned, like there was some unintended consequences. Really just one member of the band, the guitar player, was hurt by it. And he didn't express that to me. They wrote in really, I think they were smart, and they wrote in like just really positive reactions, like, that was a great night, thank you guys. And they sort of rode the PR wave that came. They ended up being in Spin magazine, and there was an article in Rolling Stone about it, and New York Times mentioned it. So it ended up, the next time they came to New York, they actually had a real crowd.
Well, that's really good news.
Yeah, that is good news.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't all positive. I don't want to completely say that it was 100%, the way I wanted it to be, because the guitarist was bummed out about it. And, one way that Matt's probably familiar with the story is that This American Life did a story where they went up to Vermont and interviewed these guys, and the guitarist sort of opened up about how, it had bummed him out. Although I also heard from Ira Glass that he drank an entire bottle of whiskey during the interview. So This American Life doesn't point that out on air, but that's what was happening.
But also, of course, Charlie, this is exactly the argument for nuclear power, right? Because people say there's all this stuff wrong with nuclear power, but they always compare that to nothing and not compared to what coal power does. How bummed out would the guitar player have been if there had been 3 people in the club that night?
Yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting. This American Life covered this story on their television program, too. They had a Showtime series for a couple of years. And it's the first episode. It might be on Netflix. But they asked him that question at the end, like, if you could go back, would you do it all over again? And he said, yes, of course. It was awesome. It was like, we were kids and we were getting everything we wanted from our parents. It was amazing.
So shut the fuck up, then, is the answer. Now, while we got you here, because I think everyone has loved Improv Everywhere. What's your favorite one you've done?
Well, if I can plug something, I've got one coming out in about a week. We just did something a couple of nights ago called Epic Christmas Caroling. And we went to a random house in New Jersey, rang the doorbell, family comes to the front door, and there's like 4 Victorian carolers, people dressed as, Christmas Carol type costumes. And that's a little weird, but whatever. The family's kind of laughing and enjoying it. And then over the course of the song, we added 15 more carolers, and then a 20-person brass orchestra. So by the end of it, there's this orchestra on their front lawn, and all of a sudden 4 Santa Clauses show up, and they're throwing fake snow everywhere, and it's this crazy thing.
Wow. They do great stuff, man. They do so much great stuff.
And tell us about the Best Buy thing.
Yeah, so that's an old favorite. We had about 100 people wear blue polo shirts and khaki pants and go into the Best Buy here in Manhattan. So most of the employees thought it was funny. Like, a lot of them took pictures of us, like joked around about trying to make us carry heavy television sets. But the security guard called 911.
Called 911?
Yep, called 911. So,
so he's a performance artist as well.
Yeah, that seemed like a joke to me. But and it was a really diverse group. Like, we had like a 9-year-old girl and a 6-year-old man.
Shut up! You don't get to say he called 911 and then move on to it was a diverse group of people.
No. So the reason I'm saying that is because he was suspicious that we were some sort of like crime syndicate, right? So I point that out, that like a 9-year-old girl and a 6-year-old man are not they're not robbing you together. But the cops show up and talk to the manager and basically have to tell management, yes, sorry, it's not illegal to wear a blue polo shirt and khaki pants. Ask these people to leave if you want to, and they did, and we left.
Charlie, there's one, Frank, it's probably one of your oldest ones, but I think Penn would really appreciate it. Didn't you guys set up in a coffee shop where you set up like the same incidences happening on a loop?
Yeah, we created a real-life Mobius strip in a Starbucks. So we had 7 actors who repeated the same 5 minutes of time over and over again for an hour. So like little simple disruptions, like a couple getting into an argument in line and then storming out, and then 2 minutes later coming back and getting in line and getting in the same argument. Or there was another guy who spilled his ice water and went and cleaned it up with some napkins, and then poured themselves some more water, and then spilled it again. So we had all these people doing the same activities, and the first couple times it happened, nobody noticed because they're all like just normal enough.
How long is the loop? The loop is 2 minutes?
The loop was 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
And we did it 12 times in a row for an hour. So by like 20 minutes into this, everybody in Starbucks is freaking out. It's like they're Bill Murray from Groundhog Day, and they can start to predict what everybody's about to do around them.
Oh, man.
It got very surreal.
I love that. I love that so much.
That really, that's just brilliant.
Yeah.
That's just brilliant.
Yeah.
And just so beautiful. You know, it all comes down to, you know, that Salvador Dali quote, how so little of what might happen does happen. And it's also, if you want to talk about unintended consequences of the internet, I mean, you could not have done this 30 years ago, right?
I could have, but nobody would have known about it. You know, I mean, I think there's obviously a rich history of performance art and public pranks and you know, happenings and all that from the 60s. But most of the documentation is like one grainy photograph, and it's hard to wrap your head around what it must have been like.
Yeah.
But
well,
we started doing this right when cameras got cheap and editing got cheap and YouTube came around.
Yeah, I mean, you have the yippies throwing the money into the stock exchange. But your stuff tends to be, I mean, I'll ask you instead of telling you, is your stuff political at all? I mean, directly political?
It's not, no. I think, like, you know, we did a thing, for example, where 200 people froze in place in Grand Central Terminal, and it made it seem like time had stopped. And I think if those people were also wearing T-shirts that said, you know, end the Iraq War or something like that, it becomes less magical. You know, regardless of whether or not I agreed with that or it was, you know, something that I was politically interested in. I think it just takes away from the magic of the moment of like, oh my God, time has stopped, or, you know, time is repeating, or whatever.
I would use the word so little of, you know, the phrase so little of what might happen does happen. It's that idea that all this stuff is available all the time that we can do, and so rarely do we choose to do it. Now, what do you do when you're not doing improv everywhere? Do you do improv anywhere?
I work on it pretty much full time. I'm also a performer at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater in New York.
Sure.
So I do comedy here in New York. But
and how many of these events do you do?
We do somewhere between 10 and 15 a year. About once a month, we're out causing problems, doing something fun.
And what I wondered as I saw these, which I've only watched 4 or 5 of them, but how do you police it to get people of the quality that you have? People seem really good.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you get people not winking?
Where I can, you know, sort of draw upon mobs of people. And sometimes we do things with hundreds or thousands of people at the same time. And for those, I just have to make it idiot-proof, where just like, it's one simple action. Get on the subway, not wearing pants. You know, put on a blue polo shirt, go into Best Buy. Like, you know, it's hard to screw it up.
Yeah.
But for the smaller scale things where, you know, you need to actually perform and have some talent, I use actors from the Upright Citizens Brigade.
Oh, yeah. Because the stuff that I've seen on video, there isn't the slightest wink.
Yeah, that's the most important part to me. And we don't have a big reveal moment either, unlike a lot of hidden camera shows where it's all about, you know, pointing out the cameras at the end. We're more interested in just creating this bizarre, surreal thing and then walking away and then leaving somebody with that story where they're never quite sure exactly what happened, but they know it was cool. It's
also so gentle and loving. You know, being someone that works in magic and has done this stuff, I get heartbroken if it turns on people. I mean, the candid camera stuff, Teller always said that, you know, candid camera's slogan way back in the 60s was people caught in the act of being themselves. And Teller said, that's a terrible slogan. It's people caught in the act of being maliciously lied to and led astray. There's no act of being themselves involved in this at all. And what I love about the stuff of yours that I saw is that my feeling when I watch that is, boy, I wish I were there and not in on it.
Yeah, that's the hidden camera show I always wanted to see.
And every time you have that feeling at the end of one of your events, you are completely successful.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I realized early on that it's just too easy to piss somebody off. Like, there's a million ways you can piss somebody off.
Sure.
But you got to work a lot harder to create an experience that gives somebody a smile and makes their day better, or at least more interesting.
Now, do you have? Is there any sort of? I just love the Mobius strip in the Starbucks so much. Can you tell me any more? Like, did people start to realize it? How did it play out?
Yeah, there was one girl who got on her phone and called her friend and was sort of having a freak out briefly, where she was just like, "You've got to get down here now. Something is not right." But the really nice thing about it was people were a little weirded out, maybe, when they first realized it themselves. But then when people started realizing that other people not in on it were also being affected by it, it sort of, the wall broke down, and all of a sudden you had strangers going over to each other's tables and talking about it, saying, "Are you seeing this too? This is incredible." And at that point, it became something where it was like this great shared experience where everybody was in on it, having fun.
I also love the acting aspect of that, because one of the hardest acting jobs you can have is being a plant in a magic show. Trying to do something over and over again that people can't read. People are so good at reading faces and reading actions and knowing what's going on that many people going to a magic show, I mean, it's one of the reasons Teller and I don't use plants. We would use them in a second if they were cheaper and better. But, by the time you get someone of the quality that can simply walk on stage and lie as a regular person, you're talking just too much fucking money. It's better off to learn a trick. And the acting quality you got out of those people at the Starbucks was phenomenal. I mean, isn't there a story about Marlon Brando eating a sandwich on stage at the actor's studio or something? Is there some sort of probably apocryphal story of just being able to do something that simple in front of people?
Yeah, I mean, I was a theater major. I remember that was an exercise we had to do, was do something mundane like, folding your laundry in front of the class, and to be able to actually be comfortable doing that. Yeah. But I think your example of the plant and magic shows, it's the same thing. Like, I see you can tell if a hidden camera video is fake. Yeah. It's so hard to fake that genuine reaction, that genuine surprise.
Well, yeah, that's every magic show on TV are using. They don't call them plants; they call them friendlies. And what you end up is there's a thing in magic called instant stooging, where you don't talk to someone ahead of time, but you get them on stage and make them lie for you in real time, which is actually easier to do. You show them a box and say, "Is this box empty?" And you give them an upstage wink. And obviously there's already the thing in the box that's supposed to be there. And they go, "Yes, it's empty." And they'll swear to God and they'll do any of it. They just don't care. But to do that in the real world, where you don't have
the theatrical pressure.
Yeah. Well, but also, when you don't, in the Starbucks, it's the hardest, because you don't have the quality of, well, maybe this person's uncomfortable on stage. You have that at least going for you in a magic show. Actually, what you're doing is harder than being a plant in a magic show, because we know how people fight at Starbucks. So,
right.
So it has to be completely airtight. What role did you do in the Starbucks thing?
I was the guy getting in the fight with his girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
But one thing that was funny about that is, after we did it 3 times, there was a guy by the door who had seen us, get in a fight 3 times, and his initial comment was just like, "Man, he's got to break up with that
girl." And I hesitate to ask this because the answer could break my heart, but it was word for word. Is that right?
Yeah, the argument was the exact same every time.
Word for word, yeah. It wasn't general variation on a theme. It was word for word. And you bought the same thing every time and lied?
No, we made it so we didn't quite get to the register.
That was just a financial concern, is that right?
Exactly.
Or concern about your bladder. Yeah, we drank 12 Ventis.
For art.
And unfortunately, going to the bathroom was not part of the scenario. So,
I have a couple of questions about the no pants on the subway ride you do every year, Charlie. One, does it bum you out that the punchline is never covered in any of the media? I think one of the best parts about the no pants on subway ride is that someone comes into the subway car selling pants for $1, and then everyone gets up with $1 and buys pants and puts them on. And that never gets covered. Everyone just focuses on them getting on the subway with no pants. Does that bother you?
Well, so we had that punchline for probably the first 5 years that we did the prank. Yeah. And then it got so big because the No Pants Subway Ride, it's happening on January 11th in New York, and it happens in about 60 other cities around the world on the same day. And just give a little backstory. I mean, it was a prank it was me and 6 buddies in 2002, and we didn't know how it was going to work out. If people were going to be pissed off, if we were going to get in trouble, if it was illegal, we didn't know. But the idea is just one guy gets into a subway car, middle of January, freezing cold, hat, coat, scarf, gloves, but no pants, wearing boxer shorts. And then that's weird, but in New York City, there's a freak in every subway car, so it's not that weird. But same subway car rolls into the next stop on the station, doors open, and another guy gets in in his underwear. So that's the initial comedic idea, is just how are people going to react to these complete strangers who are separated by a subway station entering the same car. But this year, it'll be 4,000 people. So we work really hard. Like, we'll use 40 different subway cars and or more and divide it up. We'll probably use actually over 100 subway cars. But when it first hit like about 1,000 people participating, everybody lost their pants. Like, because you used to separate from your pants, and what Matt was referring to is that the punchline was you gave all your pants to like one woman, and then she would come in and sell pants for $1, and you buy your pants back.
Sure.
In a very nonchalant manner, like, oh, perfect, I need pants, thank you, here's $1. But one year, just like, there was all these like misconnections of people writing comments on my site, like, I'm missing my jeans, I'm missing size whatever. So I was like, I can't be liable for all these pants. So now I tell people to bring a bag, like a backpack or a purse or something, and just hide your pants on your backpack.
Right. That's the second question: is how strange that when you did it, of course, it was funny. Then do it a couple more years, super funny. Watching it grow, got to be exciting. What is it like now to be maintaining the no pants subway ride all these years later?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of really screwed myself over when I did it twice. I made that decision in 2003, like, oh, it was fun last year, let's do it again. And now, like, I'm about to do the 14th annual No Pants. But people love doing it, and I ask every year, who's here for the first time? And it's like 80% of the people who are doing it for the first time. So it's, a lot of people are experiencing it and having fun. And as long as people like doing it and the internet, cares about the video and it gets views or whatever, I'll keep doing it. But I realized I can't stop it. Like, if I made an announcement saying, like, No Pants Subway Ride is not happening anymore, someone would still start a Facebook event. It would happen, and it would be way worse because it would, I spend weeks, and I have a good group of people who help me organize it, and without that, it really would be chaotic.
Now, you don't have anybody that goes all the way and does it with no underwear, too.
We don't, but as I said, it happens in other cities, and it's interesting to see how, conservative or liberal the various cities are. San Francisco, it's guys and, like, banana hammocks. And
yeah, no doubt there.
But that's just, not that weird there.
Yeah.
So, culturally, it's fine. And then one guy did it in Egypt last year, actually, which I thought was crazy.
One guy.
Whoa.
Yeah, one guy did it by himself. I mean, I think it would be against the law there. But he did it and like filmed himself with a GoPro. It seemed like he probably did it for 5 minutes and sent me the video. But I was like, that's awesome.
That's like walking in a minefield. That's fine. That guy's a hero.
You got any others coming up you want to tell us about?
Let's see. The No Pants Subway Ride's coming up January 11th.
Your audio's gone
to shit.
But I'll just tell people, you have a documentary on Netflix, right? Called We Cause Scenes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a documentary
Shut up!
about.
Shut up! Your audio's too bad. But we'll tell about the video. We're gonna have. I hope we can get him on again.
Yeah,
that's great. Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thank you so much, Charlie.
We lost your video, so it's. I mean, your audio, so it kind of.
Go to improveverywhere.com. You can check out We Cause Scenes on Netflix and participate in your own No Pants ride in January. So check out improveverywhere.com for details. Thank you so much, Charlie. Glad you could clean up my mess.
What a great guy.
I love that.
Yeah, let's fuck up more and get a better guy on it. Correct? That's a really good idea. Yeah. Oh, I can't tell you how much I love the Starbucks.
I knew you were going to love that one.
Oh, man.
I kept that one in my back pocket.
Oh, man, that's like reading my mail. That's like, I want the whole world to do that. Oh man, do I love that. Yeah. I mean, the no pants subway ride, not really the kind of thing that kills me.
No.
But boy, that just having the world like that. You know Schnibby. Have I told about Schnibby?
No.
I should have talked to Charlie about Schnibby. Charlie would have loved this. Next time we have Charlie on, I'll talk about Schnibby. But my friend Rich Nathanson, his dad, who was a nut inventor and stuff, he rode from the suburbs into the city every day, commuted. And he commuted with the same 4 guys that commuted and rode the train together. And for 30 years, they played Schnibby. And they would sit in a train car, the 4 of them, around a table with a deck of cards and with pads of paper. And they would play a card game that was not a card game and had no rules. So they'd put down 4 cards and pick up 1 from the other one's hand and write down, that's a boxcar 7. But they did it for 30 years, every morning riding in. And they would have people who would watch them, who would sit in the same car with their paper and look over, and for 20 years, watch these guys play a card game. There was no rules.
Great.
Yeah. And they even had Schnibby pads. Their pads said Schnibby on them, and they carried their pads and pulled them out, and they had columns for different things. They'd be checking and writing down points and doing all that, and they played Schnibby.
Oh man, that's so good. I that's the thing. It's like I love that. Stuff like that would interest me a lot more when I was younger, and I don't know if I could commit to it. I feel like I always had like a wink when I did stuff like that.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
I want the payoff sooner, I think, than other people.
Yeah, it's got to be pure. It's got to be completely pure. Well,
the thing that you said that made the biggest difference to me, and that I've always felt, is I always wanted to see a hidden camera show where when you watched it, you said, "I wish that were happening to me."
Yeah.
And that's just so important. It seems like such an essential idea to the Improv Everywhere guys.
Yeah, and he's what a great guy.
Yeah,
what a great guy.
Let's go hang with Charlie.
I think the most important thing that he has is he has a very specific set of standards and morals about what he's doing.
Yeah,
and I think he knows how much different stuff he could do with what he does, but I think he knows to stay his course with how he does his art. And I think that standard, like the no pants subway ride, people get arrested every year doing it, but most of the time it usually ends up going away pretty quickly, and it's because no one takes the next step to make it lewd or in your face, or somehow it's all meant to be kind of this passive thing. It stays a certain flavor, which I think is important.
Mm-hmm. He's the guy I want doing that.
Yeah.
A lot of times there'll be a great idea and you'll say, boy, I wish someone else had gotten it.
Yeah. That's true.
That's what George Carlin said to me when I called him up about the Aristocrats.
Yeah.
George Carlin, I called him up and I told him the whole idea. It could be like comedians, but jazz, give him the whole pitch. And it ended up, and George Carlin said, this is a great idea for a movie. Great idea for a movie. It's too bad you had it. We really should have someone better than you doing this, because there's a really good chance you're going to fuck it up.
Yeah.
And he said, it's a shame because I would like to have someone else have gotten this idea, but you're going to go with it. Try not to fuck it up. That was Carlin's whole take on it. And then, the punchline of the story is he saw it in Las Vegas the opening night and came up and just said very simply, you didn't fuck it up. He didn't say great movie, didn't say anything. He didn't fuck it up, which is the highest praise I could have possibly gotten from George Carlin. But I've often feel that, you know?
Yeah.
You'll often see great ideas on the internet and go, wish a slightly different person had gotten this, you know?
Is that going to lead us right into the Citizenfour?
No, it's not. I mean, it's now about time to stop, and I wanted to do a lot about Citizenfour.
Save it for next week?
Have you seen it?
I've not seen it. I've heard you talk about it, and I've heard Perry talk about it.
It's amazing.
We can make it a homework assignment for us and the congregation.
It's amazing. I'll talk. I have so much in my head. I want to talk a little tiny bit about it. Citizenfour is Edward Snowden. It's a documentary about Edward Snowden, and it's like the Friedman's documentary, where they started out to make a movie about a clown doing children's shows, magician, and ended up doing this whole thing on pedophilia. Remember capturing the Friedmans? Remember that movie?
Yeah.
They wanted to do one movie, they did another one. When we were working on Tim's Vermeer, I said, boy, I hope while we're making this movie about Tim Jennison painting a Vermeer, he murders his wife during it. Wouldn't that be great? You know, you've got the cameras rolling, everything's set, you get it all done. Well, this is what happened. You know, it's like that, the crew from France that were shooting a documentary on the World Trade Center or downtown Manhattan on 9/11.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that got all the footage. I mean, this woman was doing a documentary about Julian Assange and all this stuff. I mean, not unrelated, but during that time, she got this email that then led to heavily encrypted emails from Edward Snowden that said he was going to release all this stuff from the NSA. So she decides to have a crew in the room for the first meetings with Glenn Greenwald to break this story. And it is not, you know, documentaries use footage they can find anywhere, and they use recreations, and they use VO. This movie is not that. This movie is the first time Snowden is giving this information to Glenn Greenwald. There's a crew there. First time. His first conversations with anyone about casting himself as a traitor to the United States of America are on camera. So in watching this movie, and forgive me, I mean, this is probably unfair to the filmmakers and unfair to Snowden, unfair to Greenwald, but the movie did not affect me very much in the subject of the NSA surveillance that Snowden cared about. I had already thought about that, you know, and I don't know.
Right.
I still don't know what I think. I mean, when you work for the NSA, you make a promise that you're not going to give this information out. And he's breaking that promise. No matter what you feel about patriotism or anything, he is by definition a traitor. It is by definition, I think, treason. And yet, the head of the NSA, you know, Clapper, went in front of a congressional committee and lied. So when you make a promise to your country, to your employer, to your friends, that you will not do something, and then what they are doing is immoral. If you and I are talking and you say to me, Penn, would you promise me that what I'm going to tell you, you will never tell anybody? And I say, sure, Matt, we're friends. I promise I never will. And you say, I've placed a bomb at the Rio that's going to kill everybody tonight. My promise must be negated by the information.
Right.
And that's the question on Snowden. And I will tell you, after framing the question that way, I don't have an answer.
Right.
I think probably what Snowden did probably ends up being, all things considered, a good thing. But I don't know. I could be talked out of that instantly. I also the way Snowden did it, studying Assange and studying how the government and the media would try to make it about him, and fighting the cult of personality to make it about the information, was brilliant. All that being said, put that aside, that's what I expected to be thinking about when I saw Citizenfour. Sure. I expected to be thinking about the morality and the political implications of Snowden releasing this data. What I ended up thinking about was, and it's very funny because the movie is about surveillance, and yet you're watching a guy we have a man who we are watching in a close video. We are watching one of the most important moments of his life. Not recreated, not faked, but actually happening. And it is mind-blowing. And it was you who pointed out that in the Sam Harris book, is it, where he talks about or is it in the Thinking Fast and Slow, when we see people, we're able to watch people without them watching us.
Yeah, I just remember you bring up that point from Sam Harris's book.
Oh, Sam Harris's book, yeah. The Sam Harris book, I should know what book it was in, talks about with movies, it is the first time we are able to watch somebody have emotions without being part of the scene. For the first million years, and for all of animal history, the only way we watch somebody in a scene is to be part of that scene. You cannot sit in a public square and see people having an intense conversation and go up within 3 feet of them to watch those emotions without affecting the situation. And in film, you don't actually get that because people know they're being filmed. But you are able to stare at someone's face without them seeing you stare at them. So now we have a situation. I mean, and I don't mean to, don't be confused by my equivalence. I'm not making equivalence here in any way except historic. But can you imagine if we had actual video footage of the guys who were going to do the Boston Tea Party deciding to do the Boston Tea Party? I mean a close-up of a man's face saying, we'll organize, we'll dump the tea in the harbor, and this may lead to a war with Britain for the independence of this country. And you've got that on video. And it's not someone acting, it's not a recreation, but the guy is saying that knowing the video's on him. That's what you have with Snowden. Once again, I'm not doing the equivalence. I'm not saying that he's more of a patriot, less of a patriot, even a patriot. I'm not making any of that. I'm talking about the historic moment. And there is a moment in this movie that just made my whole body go electric with chills. There, on the TV, CNN is recapping the fact that these documents have leaked. And Snowden has to try to get to the UN to see if he can get some sort of amnesty from the UN to protect him from the United States government. He's been in this hotel room. It's the most claustrophobic movie ever because it's all in this little hotel room. And it's all, you see Glenn Greenwald when Snowden's saying stuff like, there are thousands of pages and I'm trusting you to decide what should be released. And you just see Greenwald with a pencil in his hand in this computer going, and then you see him say, let me put this into your computer. And he hands the computer to him and Snowden goes, what did you just put in a 4-letter password? And Greenwald goes, I type fast. It's like 10 letters. He goes, even without, that's a day to break that. You have no protection on this at all. And Greenwald's going, well, and they're just sitting there. But the moment that's insane, is you've got the CNN going, And then Snowden is looking in the mirror, putting hair gel in. You know, it's just part of his morning routine, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna go out, so he's putting in little hair gel, and yet he is going to the UN to seek asylum in Hong Kong, where he will then fly to Russia, where he will lose his citizenship, be part of this international thing with Putin giving him that in order to fuck you to the U.S., with Argentina, you know, the airlines flying, Ecuador, I guess it was, flying stuff around, and he's putting in hair gel. And of course he's putting in hair gel. You don't stop doing that. And he's kind of shaving, and they show him being interviewed on the screen in that room, which is, you know, it's the video that they're shooting that's in this movie that was used of Snowden worldwide. You see him in Times Square doing this, and then he's going, well, I guess I can't really shave that close with the razor I've got. And he's putting in hair gel, and he's kind of going, I guess the umbrella is going to be worse. It puts the emphasis on the bottom of my face. Do we have any idea how many people are out there?
Oh my gosh!
And the guy who's with him, his lawyer, is saying, "Well, if we call a car service, but it's hard to get a cab, should we try to take a taxi across town? Is that going to be safer?" And Snowden's going, I don't really know. And it's you know, Snowden is confident at times. He's made his decision. I'm presenting it more dramatic than it is. That's what's wrong with what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm making it the way the movie would be.
Right, and it's real life.
It's real life. So there's little jokes, and there's comfort. And he's got his white T-shirt on, and he's sitting on the bed, and he's going through stuff, and he's saying, you know, which is also amazing. My girlfriend realized today that I wasn't just sick, because he doesn't tell his girlfriend anything.
Right.
Because he doesn't want her implicated. And they show up at the house, and they're going through all his stuff. And he's getting text messages from his girlfriend through this encrypted stuff going, hope she's okay.
Oh, man.
And, you know, and he also says stuff like, you know, I've cut off all relations with my family because I don't want them to be hurt. So they don't know anything. So he decides to do this and doesn't tell anyone that he knows that he's going to do it. So the first time he's spoken about it aloud, he's in a Hong Kong hotel room with Glenn Greenwald and this Linda, whatever her name is, with a video camera shooting him, you know. And she meets him in the lobby. They don't show that because she doesn't want to have cameras there. And then he's going up in the room. They show him setting it up. And it just made me realize that, you know, this ties into everything. You know, it ties into Ferguson with the lapel cams.
Yeah.
You know, which I don't know. That doesn't solve the Michael Brown problem because you still have different interpretation of it. And it doesn't solve the Snowden problem. You know, it doesn't solve. I mean, the Brits would still think if you saw the people setting up the Tea Party, setting it up on video, they would think that they were seeing traitors.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be video.
They're conspirators, yeah, evidence.
Yeah, that would be, you know, death penalty stuff. Yeah. But having it on video and being there, it doesn't change the different interpretations of the reality. It does not change that at all. But still, there's something so animal wrong with it. There's no reason I should be able to see Snowden's face when he's going through that. Who the fuck am I?
Right.
You know, and there were 3 people in the movie theater. No, 5 people in the movie theater total, sitting there watching this thing that we don't know where it's going. You know, the implications of this are huge, and yet it all starts in a little room. It's phenomenal, and the idea becomes so closing in on itself that that it's about surveillance. I mean, the whole issue is about how much can the NSA surveil us. Is that the right verb? Is it proper? Surveil us. And at the same time, she has a video camera in his face. So the part of this that the NSA would want to listen in on, that they would want to see and hear, is being put out as a movie.
Right. Yeah.
Which makes it even crazier.
Does the NSA pay for its employees to see it?
Yeah. And then there's a shot. I mean, it's really good filmmaking. Really, I've thought a lot about documentaries and made them. And besides the subject matter, which doesn't matter how badly this film was made, it's still fascinating. But the woman who made it is a fucking genius, because she's got all this stuff just in a hotel room, so you have to make it breathe, right? And the way she makes it breathe is just the still shot of the hotel from the outside with the dialogue going on inside. So you see this shot where you can't tell what window is Snowden and you can't tell where he is, but you hear the audio from the outside of the building and just this long, stagnant shot of the hotel in Hong Kong that goes probably 45 seconds. And then in a shot that made my skin crawl, they do a shot of Snowden in Russia in his apartment that they do from outside the window. So you're looking in the window, and his girlfriend and he are like cooking spaghetti. And you don't hear anything, you just see them in there preparing supper. Oh. And you're watching from the outside. It is, I mean, obviously, the most important part of this is we have to decide what we want the government to do and NSA. That's the important part of this. But it's very hard not to get swept up in the art of the filmmaking. Right. And I know that this isn't fair to her because she is a political filmmaker and she's making real political points. Yes. She's making real political points, but one of the problems is she's so fucking good. Yeah. She's so fucking good that you could watch this movie with the entirely opposite political point, and it would still be just as powerful. Yeah. I mean, I tend to lean a little bit more toward the information being out there. But if I were a person whose point of view was that what he did was treason, pure and simple, then you're watching a movie about someone committing treason.
Right. and that guy putting hair gel in. Yeah. Which is just fast. Look at this asshole. He's betrayed his country and he still cares about hair gel.
Yeah, exactly. But the other thing is when you see it, he doesn't care about hair gel. Right. He doesn't care at all. It's not vanity. It's just what you do. I mean, you never thought about the fact that people in this situation still brush their teeth. Right. You know, it's that kind of thing. And he has a Cory Doctorow book on the bed that he's reading, you know, and I know Cory, and I wrote him a line. I wrote him an email and said, "How did you feel seeing your book in that movie?" And he said it was just startling. It caught my breath. And he said that Linda got in touch with him and said, "Yeah, we were reading that book during this time." And Cory said, "I wanted to drop a line to Snowden and thank him for reading my book." And then I said, "He probably gets enough emails." But I still want to stress, to people listening, I still don't know what I think of Snowden.
Right.
But it's amazing because I have just this, and I know it's completely phony, it's completely fraudulent. The emotion is fraudulent, but I have the feeling that I was in a room with Snowden and Greenwald.
Yeah.
And during this most important time. And it's looking at the mole on his neck. It's looking at him scratching his nose. It's all that stuff. And I kept thinking, this is what the world is from now on.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be video of everything important.
Yeah.
From now on, much of it.
And I think, if you were to see a documentary of him where they started taping it once he's in Russia and then just getting his perspective and walking you through those days in the past. A whole different thing. It's a whole different documentary that you're probably a lot less interested in.
Yeah. But imagine, Paul Revere with an iPhone.
Right.
Yeah.
Going, this is the biggest change of my life. This is the time we're going to break everything. I'm about to get on this horse, and it's going to be, man, we're starting some shit.
The British are coming. The British are coming. # revolution.
Hey, precisely. The British are coming. The British are coming. # revolution. Exactly. Someone wrote to me and said that if I quoted "Idiot Win" by Bob Dylan, they would give their life savings $3 to Opportunity Village.
Okay.
So they say I shot a man named Gray and took his wife to Italy. She inherited $1 million, and when she died, it came to me. I can't help it if I'm lucky. Bob Dylan. What a thing. Man, Charlie Todd.
Yeah.
What a great fucking guy.
Improv everywhere.
Want to thank, Matt, you should mention the bucket list.
Oh, bucket show, yeah.
Bucket show.
No, I hope it's on your bucket list to see the bucket show.
Yeah.
This Wednesday at 10 o'clock if you're in Vegas, coming out to the Scullery Theater. We got some kind of honcho coming out to check us out to see if they want to put us in a bigger space so we can use some support if you want to come out.
Yeah, it's downtown. So you want to check out downtown anyway. It's changed so much in Vegas.
Yeah.
Wednesday night, Vegas, what date is that? The 10th.
Yeah, the 10th. Yep.
The 10th, Wednesday night,
December.
the 10th. December.
Yeah.
Check out Matt Donnelly and Paul Madeline at the Bucket Show. You just give what you want.
Yeah.
It costs whatever you want it to cost.
Yeah, it's a free show if you want it to be free.
Yeah. And it's $20 if you're a mensch. Check that out. Have dinner downtown. Check it out. Go to Big Daddy's Nachos or something.
Yeah, Nacho Daddy.
Nacho Daddy.
There's a lot of great spots. Carson Kitchen, Eat. There's a lot of great spots downtown.
Yeah, go check that out. Have yourself a good night downtown and include Matt Donnelly. Tell him you're a member of the congregation. He'll be happy.
That's true. That will make my
night.
night.
Happy to hear that.
Congregation members came up to me in Albuquerque last week.
There you go.
They
that's
did.
awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's Michael Goudreau, lovely and talented. Reddy Rich, you're at a tough time with tech today. You doing okay, Reddy? He's holding up. Oh, jeez.
Oh, no.
Wasn't a salute, it was a pistol.
Yeah.
Don't answer for him so quickly, I guess.
Jared Strong, thank you. Adam Carolla, of course. What's that guy's name? Pete Golden.
Pete Golden.
We've never
Want to thank
seen
Pete
him.
Golden. Yeah, Glenn Ally. Want to thank them all. And, boy, a lot to think about. Citizenfour, I still got so much more to think about, but maybe not much more to say. Okay, I love you. That was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School, and to our listening,
Cha-cha-cha.
all nations sang
Round us rang.
music of the sea.
I feel like I'm from Vermont, playing my first time in New York, and the audience knows all the lyrics. The future is here, man, and while we're at it, watch Black Mirror. It's on Netflix. It's an English show of the Twilight Zone with intellectual content for the 21st century. The British are coming. The British are coming. # revolution.